What is up? The fantasy season is almost over. And I, of course, mean the regular season. Week 13 in the books. Week 14. So many win and you're in scenarios. And that starts with the Week 14 waiver wire. Let's get into the best picks. What is up? Welcome to WireTapped, Club Fantasy's weekly waiver wire show. I am your host, Ryan Weiss. With me, as always, Josh Hudson. Josh, it's a snowy morning up here in upstate New York, but a bunch of my fantasy teams clinched playoff spots yesterday, so I'll take it.
Hey, there you go. And honestly, I was very prepared to have to do this show by myself because of said weather and, of course, some other factors. But so, let's get ready. And thank you for joining because trying to do all of this, starring questions, producing, whole nine, that is not easy to do by yourself. I promise you. And I know you know from experience.
It's been a rough 24 hours in the Weiss household. For those who know, you know, I'm here to do this show, but I did save our listeners from Josh doing his first ever solo show. You're welcome.
That is 100% true.
As we get started here, I guess I should throw out there, we are getting some relatively serious snow right now. If I go out, it's Josh by himself. Good luck to everybody. That's something I have zero control over. But as we get started, if you want to support the show, hit the like button, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. We will earn it over the next 90 minutes. But if you just want to get it out of the way now, if you're a new listener, get it out of the way now. If you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. We do have super chat. The chat does get backed up. Sometimes 30, 40 minutes backed up. We will answer every question, but if you want to jump the line, you can throw us a couple of dollars. We'll move you to the front of the line. Also, if you want to talk fantasy football when this show is over, Josh is dropping the link of the Discord in the chat right now. It's also in the description of this video. As we kick this thing off, we do have some questions waiting. We'll get to those in just a moment. Let's start off with news and notes because, Josh, again, these quarterback injuries, Justin Herbert had successful surgery. Basically, they are shifting things around for the broken bones in his hand to make sure it's a pain tolerance thing. He does plan to play Monday night against your Philadelphia Eagles. I do not like having to wait till Monday night on that decision. Arizona is not going to open the Kyler Murray window. It is still Jacoby Brissett season. And I did find the quote from Jonathan Gannon interesting. It's too early to open the practice window for Kyler Murray. That tells me he is not playing again this fantasy season. Amon-Ra St. Brown did not practice ahead of Thursday's game, not expected to play. Jaden Daniels still not cleared for contact. He's not playing this season, people. J.J. McCarthy, symptom-free, looking to take back over that job, should play Sunday against Washington. The Vikings also do not believe that Aaron Jones' shoulder injury is serious. They are calling him day-to-day. And Todd Bowles has opened up the possibility that Mike Evans could return to practice this week. Josh, the most concerning thing here is I think we're both on the side of Amon-Ra St. Brown's not playing this week.
Correct. Yeah, that's why in the top 5 waiver article, I wanted to highlight Isaac Tesla. I think also Khalif Raymond kind of becomes a very sneaky ad as well. Tesla is operated as the wide receiver 3 in this offense. If you presume that Jameson Williams will take a step up in this passing game, the same way that he did this previous week when Amon-Ra St. Brown went down, you would kind of speculate that Tesla will sort of slot into that secondary role that Jameson Williams typically operates. And Tesla is somebody that operates downfield similarly to how Jameson Williams operates in that offense. Yeah. So I think if they use Jameson more in that, Amon-Ra type role where they can kind of move him around the formations, which Jameson Williams is very capable of doing, I think that opens up Tesla for some of those deeper shots, 5 to 7 targets in this offense because they're going to need it. And that's how you beat that Dallas secondary, especially this like revamped Dallas defense. You still beat them via the secondary. I don't care that Trayvon Diggs is back. He gives up big plays. Guess who's going to break those big plays? Tesla and JMO have the capability of doing that.
Yeah, I think they're super interesting. The issue I have here, Josh, is Justin Herbert. And when I say this, let me be very clear. I have this issue on a playoff team right now. I have a league that is a 8-team playoff, and they've decided that they still want playoffs to start this week. So we have some playoffs starting on bye weeks, which is a nightmare. I hate it, but that I'm not the commissioner. Josh, I have Justin Herbert. It's a 16-team league. Waivers are bare. My only option may be going and getting Trey Lance, but there are guys out there like Tyler Shugg who didn't look terrible last week. Do I just pivot? Do I get Trey Lance? I think that's the biggest question right now, Josh.
So I'm gonna make our guy who really happy here at the 5-minute and 20 mark. I am perfectly fine with Tyler Shugg as a streaming option this week going against that Tampa Bay defense. I think they can bring some pressure, which is great, but that secondary can very much be beaten. Chris Olave is a very good wide receiver. Devon Vele took a big step up, and we've seen some big games from Vele last year during his rookie season in Denver when Sean Payton decided he wanted to, kind of open things up and actually throw the ball more. Shugg can play. Like, I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback. Right on time. Hey, Beetlejuice. Anyway, but yeah, no, I would trust Shugg, I think, a little bit more than Trey Lance this week.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would trust him more than Justin Herbert.
And that's the other part is, do I even trust Justin Herbert to begin with? Yeah. I obviously, as soon as I get off the show, that will be my first league that I'm looking at my waivers on, because I snuck into the play. I want to use snuck into the playoffs loosely. This is the league I've been sharing with you folks, that I am over 100 points, the highest score in the league, but the schedule has bent me over. I stole my playoff spot last week. I beat the first place team. And my favorite part about this is the third place team beat the team I needed to lose. And now that third place team has to face me because they moved up to second. I got to 7th. And so the guy who got me into the playoffs, nobody wants me in the playoffs. The guy who got me in the playoffs now has to face me, and he's the commissioner. So I'm pretty sure I'm getting kicked out of this league once I win this week.
You know what, though? I kind of feel that way in our Ballers and Friends Dynasty League. Like,
me and you are in.
I was going to say, like, that league has gone so ass backwards to me. Like, I was ready to sell off because everybody was getting hurt. And then finally people got healthy, and I've been like running the fucking table. And I'm on a tear. I think I have like the 3rd highest point scored in that league, but I'm holding on for dear life on like the 6th seed right now.
But what's crazy is, I think you're in, when you look at total points, Kate Majuk, I don't think can catch you. I was looking at that this morning.
Which is good because I have her first round pick this year.
There you go. So yeah, you get the higher pick, and I believe me and you are in is 5 and 6. Though we could each potentially move up if Rob Wilson loses a game. Nobody cares about our league, but I was checking all that this morning. That's how I opened my morning. Josh, let's get into the chat. They don't care about our leagues, but they certainly care about their leagues. Third Eye, before we even started the show today, shout out to Third Eye, starting wide receivers if healthier, Drake London, AJ Brown, Rashee Rice. I promise you, these are my starting receivers in my home league.
I was going to say, in that Ballers and Friends Dynasty League, it's those 3, except instead of AJ Brown, it's CeeDee Lamb. So
that's wild. But like I said, these are my starting receivers in my home league. He currently has Wan'Dale on his bench. Do you drop Wan'Dale for Reed, Evans, or Mitchell? Wan'Dale's on bye this week, right? Giants.
Correct. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not itching to drop Wan'Dale.
Yeah.
But if push comes to shove and you don't have anybody else to drop, and obviously you need a starter because Drake London's likely not playing.
Exactly.
Go get Adonai Mitchell.
That's where I was going to go with this as well. I'm not itching to drop Wan'Dale. If you do not need a week 14, stick with your horses. Don't worry about it. If you need a week 14, sure. Syrup Sipper?
Yeah,
sure.
That's Equinox.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this name. That's an awesome name. Win and in, congratulations. Are we going Adunze or Flowers? Waivers have Lockett, and I'm not even going to say Shaheed. He's been ass. So Lockett or Wicks. So
I don't trust either Adunze or Flowers. I really don't.
But it's not like I'm in on Lockett or Wicks either. I would probably, yeah. Let me look at the matchups because that's going to make the
biggest. So Dunze's got Green Bay this week. That I do know.
And Flowers has Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh hasn't been great. I'm going to go Flowers, and believe me, it's going to come up later in the show how little we can trust this passing game. I'm still going to go Flowers in this situation.
I think I would still go Flowers. I think you have to. This is a matchup that I think that Chicago won't be able to rely on the running game as much, which tells me they're going to have to throw the football. Yeah. But the problem is the past few weeks, Luther Burden has kind of been that leading receiver for this team in the first half, mind you, because and then in the second half, they just run the football and none of these receivers do anything, which again makes the Dunze very unreliable. We saw the low point of Zay Flowers. I said it before, half PPR, he got negative points.
Yep.
Not great. And I know because
you had him.
I had him. Lamar Jackson, I cannot trust right now.
It's awful.
And if you can't trust the quarterback throwing Zay Flowers the football,
how do you trust the receiver, which then pushes you towards Adunze? Because at least you can trust Caleb Williams, it seems. So
correct. Yeah. So if those are your only three options on waivers, I'm going to lean Tyler Lockett. I don't trust the Wicks big game. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
Lockett at least has some rapport here with Geno Smith. That he can be a secondary piece to Brock Bowers.
He's seen steady targets over the last few weeks.
So, I'd like to think that there's other options. Devon Vele being out there, and we'll get to some of the, the other guys, Adonai Mitchell maybe, but
I doubt it's the same league. But he brings up, is Myers a good flex play over Dobbs and Tej Johnson? I'm going to guess this is a different league. Jacoby Myers is a wide receiver too. Let's be very clear. He's a great flex play.
Yeah, I love me some Jacoby Myers. I think he's taken over that wide receiver one role in Jacksonville, in my opinion. We talked about it. That's the Chris Godwin role.
Yep.
That was the role that we wanted for Travis Hunter. I'm all about it. I would take him 100% over Dobbs and Tez.
Our Packers fan says, do not bet on the Bears passing game this week. They will run the ball all over Green Bay, just like we saw from the Bears last week. He says Caleb will throw sub 23 times. Check for that in your prop bets, folks.
Okay. Very interesting.
Keenan, morning. Guaranteed in the playoffs. Congratulations. Would you try to avoid playing the highest scoring person in round one of the playoffs?
Look, you always want to avoid the high scoring teams because there's a reason they score the most points. They're probably the most talented. We talked about this on Monday's show.
It's been the theme of the week.
Do not fuck with the fantasy football gods.
They exist.
They're vindictive sons of bitches.
What I'm going to say, though, is the highest scoring team. I want you to think about that. The highest scoring team in your league has one of two players on it for sure. Jahmyr Gibbs or Jonathan Taylor.
Or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Or Christian McCaffrey.
Well, Christian McCaffrey doesn't prove my point, so let's not say him. All three of those guys disappointed in week 14.
Yeah, that's true.
JSN was good, not great. Jahmyr Gibbs, good, not great. And Jonathan Taylor, good, not great. Jonathan Taylor hasn't been great in 3 weeks. Like, there's a lot going on. I'm not afraid of I am the highest scoring team in the league. I've snuck into the playoffs. I'm not afraid of the highest scoring team in my league. It's going to come down to weekly matchups now. Everybody has a good roster. Don't fuck with the fantasy gods, Keenan. I cannot illustrate or emphasize that.
Start your best lineup. Let everything play out the way that it plays.
Treat week 14 exactly how you treated week 13.
Yep.
Caesar. Is he stupid for holding Justin Fields in a dynasty? Caesar. We would
in a
never,
1 QB, yes.
Yes. We would never call you stupid, Josh. However, you say waiver quarterbacks are Brissett, Taylor, Geno. This is not the way to look at this. You don't need a waiver quarterback. You have a quarterback, I'm guessing. Don't drop Trey Harris for Adonai Mitchell. Drop Justin Fields for Adonai Mitchell.
Correct.
Hold on to your receivers and running backs.
So. Yeah, in 1 QB dynasty leagues, like they're streamable quarterbacks are on waivers all the time.
Yep.
A la Jacoby Brissett. Right?
Exactly.
He's the QB2 in fantasy since week 9.
I just picked him up in a 1 QB dynasty 2 weeks ago.
So you're going to have decent QBs out there. Justin Fields is not a decent quarterback.
Nope.
Right now, I would argue he has no dynasty value in one quarterback.
What you're hoping with Justin Fields is a Taysom Hill treatment, that they code him as a running back or a tight end.
Yeah, like you want his career trajectory right now to morph into Terrell Pryor. That's what you want.
100%.
And Terrell Pryor had 1 good year as a wide receiver.
I think it's over for Fields. I think he's thrown his last ball as a starter in the NFL, and then it'll just be what happens.
I would agree. But 100% drop Fields and go get Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, drop Fields, get Mitchell. Brissett or Mariota rest of the season. As long I know Mariota had a great game. Jacoby Brissett is your starter as long as Jacoby Brissett is the starter. Plain and simple.
100%.
Shout out Matty Randoms. Keenan. I didn't realize his name was Brosmer. If Brosmer, even worse name, is the starter.
Bro.
Yeah, I was going to say, so stupid. Is the starter. Would you play the Commanders D over the Texans? I had to go look at my rankings. I'm early in my rankings, as I tell you guys every Tuesday. The Commanders did not move even into my top 10, and I'm going into this as it's JJ McCarthy. If it's Brosmer, I think I move them up, but even against Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes will turn the ball over, Josh. I still have Houston as a top 5 defense, and I don't think I'm moving Washington up that high.
I was going to say, I mean, the Colts held KC in check.
Exactly.
The Colts aren't a world beater kind of defense. Houston is a top 3 defense in the NFL. I'm not even talking fantasy points. And they create turnovers, and they get a ton of sacks. I don't see, give me the Texans. Like, Seattle did what Seattle does. Seattle is, again, a top 5 defense in the NFL. They're a top 3 fantasy defense, in my opinion. And they did what a top fantasy defense should do against a untested, undrafted rookie free agent quarterback. They put up a goose egg. They put up a shutout.
Yep.
The Commanders, with Dan Quinn calling the plays, are a better defense.
Absolutely.
But they're still not a good defense.
Yeah. They don't have the
JJ McCarthy, by all accounts, is going to start.
Which
doesn't have any symptoms.
Which isn't
right
scary.
Now.
Let's be very clear.
Yeah, and it's not scary. But again, we have seen competent JJ McCarthy play football.
Yeah, certainly in the fourth quarter.
And if JJ McCarthy plays, I think there is a better chance this week that Justin Jefferson actually has a decent game.
So he might be top 40 instead of top 70.
No, I would still put him in the top 36 this week.
Yeah.
Because that Washington secondary is so beat
so
up.
bad.
So, and I think with everything that went on, 2 catches, 4 yards, this needs to be a get-right game for Justin Jefferson in the event JJ McCarthy plays.
Nope, I completely agree. Matty Randoms. He is in a 14-team win and you're in situation. And it is, would you start 2 tight ends this week, Waller and Warren, over Addison, White, and Algier, Josh?
I would still start Algier over Waller.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
But yeah, you can leave the other 2 on your bench. Addison, White don't belong in starting lineups right now. I'd argue Rachaad White doesn't belong on a roster right now, but
there's that. All right. We are caught up on questions. The chat still has chat questions. Don't get me wrong. We will be back for you guys, but I do want to knock out a segment. And it is the top 5 waiver segment. Because my day was absolute shit yesterday, Josh took over on the article for us. So not a bad week for the article.
I skipped a gym day for you, Ryan.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I was not in the mood to write. So Josh took over the article. So Josh, take over the segment. Your top 5 waiver ads for week 14.
Yeah, so I'll just go through. I'll read the top 5. We'll start with Adonai Mitchell. Big game from the Jets this week. Isaac Tesla. I think a lot of people are going to be like, Tesla, what the fuck? He had over 11 fantasy points this past week. But again, it boils down to Amon-Ra St. Brown being out. He steps up in the pecking order. Jayden Higgins. Ryan, you highlighted him last week.
Yep.
Came back. We were we were on edge a little bit. We weren't sure how he was going to react with CJ Stroud. He proved it. I think he belongs on this list. Devon Vele, big game this past week. Maybe it stays, maybe it doesn't. Fact of the matter is, Saints need a secondary pass catcher. And then 5th on my list, I know you don't typically do tight ends, but when you look at Brenton Strange's schedule,
absolutely,
he can win you some leagues this year. So that's my top 5 going into this week.
Jets, Denver, Indy to wrap up the season. And what I love is that he gets Indy right now in week 14. So you get to see what he does against Indy to prep for your championship game, which is completely awesome. So, Josh, I know you kind of talked about some of these guys, but you do have like let's start with Adonai Mitchell. Obviously, everybody's up in the air on which Jets wide receiver to pick. And Mitchell now seems to be it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that I look at this is, this Jets offense, and I've said this all season, I said it in the offseason as well. This Jets offense is a derivative of the Lions offense in this Ben Johnson type of scheme where you have 2 featured wide receivers. You have your main slot guy, which is the Amon-Ra St. Brown role. Then you have that outside guy that, you can hyper target, but also is going to be the field stretcher. That's the Jameson Williams role. Justin Fields could not operate this offense because he's not a competent thrower of the football. Tyrod Taylor is a veteran. He knows how to throw the football. He can actually read a defense.
Absolutely.
You have seen more of what this offense should look like with Tyrod Taylor under center.
Yes.
And in that scheme, John Mechie plays that slot role, which is that Amon-Ra St. Brown role. Adonai Mitchell plays that Jameson Williams role.
Yeah.
And we've seen throughout the years, consistency with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you've seen some pop weeks with Jameson Williams. You've also seen some weeks where JMO outscores Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Absolutely.
This was one of those weeks where the JMO role outscores the Amon-Ra St. Brown role, because the previous week it was the Amon-Ra St. Brown role and John Mechie that outscored Adonai Mitchell.
And it's almost just weird. It's like Atlanta turned a switch where they're like, okay, well, now we suck against outside receivers.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it's crazy. But Adonai Mitchell, the first 3 weeks that he's been active with the Jets, 6 targets, 7 targets, 12 targets.
Yeah.
Not to take away anything from John Mechie, because Mechie had a very disappointing stat line, only 4 catches, 19 yards. But he had 8 targets.
Yep.
So these two, Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie, combined for 20 targets. That is what you will see from this offense. Tyrod Taylor is not going to be afraid to throw the football, and they're going to utilize Breece Hall to keep this game going, plain and simple, or keep this offense moving. Take this for what you will. Yes, you're going to have some highs, you're going to have some lows. But Adonai Mitchell is going to be a focal point in this offense. There's a reason the Jets wanted him back when they traded Sauce Gardner to the Colts. Yeah. They saw an opportunity to where they could get a throw-in piece that could have some value. This is a former second-round pick out of Texas. He's got a little screws loose, but when you throw him the football, he's going to play. He caught 75% of his passes, had the big 52-yard touchdown reception, 8 catches, 100 and some odd yards. Big-time fantasy week. Yeah. This is the type of boom that can get you into the playoffs as your flex.
Yeah.
And he's got some good matchups going into the fantasy playoffs.
Matty Random's taking your advice in real time, says he's dropping DK for Adonai Mitchell. I think that's a great call.
I think that's a great call, honestly, because right now I would trust Tyrod Taylor more leading this Jets offense than I do Cam Ward leading the Titans offense. Yep. And that pains me because I love Cam Ward. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, but this season is not going his way. That Titans offense, that Titans team is a fucking hot mess.
A mess. Josh, talk to me about Jayden Higgins, because we knew this team needed a second wide receiver. We just didn't know who was officially going to step up. It seems to me that Higgins has finally claimed that role.
Yeah, it's been good to see because, this is why they spent that early second-round pick on him. They guaranteed his contract out of the second round out of Iowa State. This is that derivative of the Sean McVay system. We saw it last year with when the Falcons brought in Darnell Mooney. We saw what Mooney was able to do opposite Drake London. That same concept was coming here to Houston. Nico Collins was going to have that big breakout. And then it became who was going to step up into that second role. Well, Jayden Higgins, over the last 5 weeks, has every game over 5 targets, every game with 4 or more receptions, 18 catches, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns over the last month. He's cemented himself as the wide receiver 2 in this offense. And the big question last week was, okay, he's doing it, but now he gets CJ Stroud back. Is that chemistry that he had with Davis Mills, is that going to carry over and continue with Stroud under center? The targets were a little bit down. He went from 9 and 7 and 7 to 5, but he caught all 5 of them for 65 yards. He was the wide receiver 26 on the week. You throw in a touchdown, he's a top 12 guy.
Absolutely.
And he's caught a touchdown every other week over the last 5 weeks. Guess what? We're on touchdown week.
Yeah.
And he's got good matchups going forward. This is the type of, these are the type of waiver wire picks that can help you going forward. KC is up this week. Yes, they have a tough defense. They're good against the run. They're good against number 1 wide receivers in Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie's not going to be on Jayden Higgins.
Nope.
And Jayden Higgins has the size to get over on these QB2s or corner 2s. CJ Stroud should be looking his way. Do not be surprised when you see another 5 for 60 game. And again, you get that touchdown. That's a top 15 week, top 12 in most weeks.
Yeah. Higgins was one of my favorite cash plays in DFS last week, and he was actually one of the highest rostered players at wide receiver in DFS. So he has that safe floor that you're looking for when it comes to that. And then, Josh, as you mentioned, we don't always include tight ends. But when there's a tight end who can guide you through the playoffs, and it's not like 6 weeks ago when I was talking about the playoffs hypothetically. The playoffs are next week, people, and Brenton Strange might be the guy to get you there, Josh.
Yeah, he's coming off of IR. He only has two games since coming off of IR, and he only has 9 targets in those games combined. That's not great when you look at volume, especially from a tight end position. But he has scored over 14 fantasy points in each of those games. That is what I'm paying attention to. Because with the dysfunction in this wide receiver room in Jacksonville, BTJ, I don't know what the fuck his role is anymore. He's not on the same page with Trevor Lawrence. Apparently, he can't figure out how to be Mike Evans in Liam Cohen's offense. So either he's going to figure it out or he's going to get shipped out, one or the other. And some team's going to get a steal.
I just want to throw this in because he may be watching the show. I remember RJ, Gator J, was not high on BTJ. And I want to know, looking at his game this year versus last year, if Jay can kind of like, is this why you weren't high? Like, I want to have a nice conversation with Jay the next time we do a show together. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, because I know Joel, like, he was a big time BTJ guy. And I started to buy in towards the end of the season. I'm like, look, all right, I'm all in. And
well, how could you not?
Right? Like, the dude catches touchdowns. Like, it carried over from college to the pros last year. But then you see this season, obviously there's been a lot of injury hiccups, but he's not on the same page with Trevor Lawrence the way that he was with Mac Jones.
Absolutely.
And I would not be surprised if there's a move in the offseason. Truly, like, if they can't figure something out, what's the point, right? Like, Liam Cohen is taking over this team and has him first in the South right now.
Liam Cohen ain't going anywhere. Plain and fucking simple. Like,
exactly. But back to Brenton Strange. He has that rapport with Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence right now is the QB6 since week 9. Yeah. He's doing what he needs to do. And Brenton Strange is a reliable target for him. So if he can't figure out it, like if Jacoby Myers is covered and he doesn't think that BTJ is going to be in the spot that he needs to be, and Parker Washington is dealing with an injury, where's he looking? It's going to be to Brenton Strange.
Absolutely.
You look at the matchups that he has. He gets the Colts twice. The Colts have given up the 6th most fantasy points at tight end since week 8. He gets the Jets. They've allowed over 11 fantasy points to tight ends over the same period. And the Broncos, who just got lit up by Zach Ertz and the Commanders, and allow the 7th most since week 8. Brenton Strange has a fantasy playoff winning schedule at the tight end position. This is a top 8 tight end for the rest of the season based on this schedule.
Believe leads us into and answers George's question. Must win Juwan Johnson, Dallas Goedert, or Brenton Strange?
Brenton Strange, and it's not close.
Yeah, I'd say great matchup with the Colts. There may be some other tight end questions in there. Just to recap, full article available at clubfantasyffl.com. Josh's top 5 waiver ads of week 14, Adonai Mitchell, Isaac Tesla, Jayden Higgins, Devon Vele, and Brenton Strange. You'll find that article at clubfantasyffl.com. Chat's popping. Keenan, the highest score, this is going back to avoiding people. The highest scoring person in the league doesn't have any of those anymore. Interesting. You stole Jacobs and JT from him in a trade. His best play. Oh, you're not avoiding that team at all. Pickens, Javonte, Bowers, Genty, and JMO. No, you're not. Especially if the playoffs are next week, because JMO goes back to being behind Amon-Ra St. Brown next week. So
yeah, I mean, Bowers obviously is the biggest threat, followed by Pickens. Javonte is definitely cooled after his slow start, and Genty's running into a brick wall that is his offensive line. So
yeah, and Joel brings up, somehow, some way he put together, and I say somehow, some way, this perfectly aligns with ADP.
I mean, that's first, second, third round right there.
Like literally, that Joel Worth, congratulations, had the perfect draft in fantasy football. But like he said, they shat the bed this week. Letdowns happen. Don't let previous performance influence. Don't play with the fantasy gods. That's the lesson to be learned here. Cuff your running backs. Don't play with the fantasy gods. Jose Rodriguez. Adonis.
That would be Adonai.
Okay, I'm losing this.
Probably autocorrect.
Yeah. Certainly. Adonai Mitchell, Devon Vele, or Isaac Tesla this week.
It's Mitchell.
It's definitely Mitchell or Tesla. I would not be afraid of going Tesla once we know.
I agree. I still think Mitchell is just more involved.
Yeah, Tesla has 4 touchdowns this season.
Yeah, right? No, he's been great in spots, right? Like when they need him, it's a different story when you're going against the cornerback 3-4 versus the 1 or 2. Now that he's going up in the pecking order, right? That's the only thing that makes me a little nervous about Tesla. So, like, if I have somebody like Adonai Mitchell, who again is seeing the targets, had the big pop week, has a good matchup against Tampa secondary. He essentially is at minimum the 1B in this Jets offense, which again, not a great offense, but Tyrod Taylor's not afraid to throw the football. That's why I'm going to lean Mitchell this week.
Yep. Caesar locked into first place and the bye. Congratulations. Has Love and Caleb. He's riding Love this week because it doesn't matter, but he's more concerned about week 16. Caesar already giving himself the week 15 win. Who does he start week 16? Oh, wait, I guess that's the bye. I'm an idiot. Never mind. So week 16, they play each other, Josh. Caleb and Jordan Love. I don't know who's home.
As long as Toyotathon is still going, it's Jordan Love.
And it is in Chicago. I don't know that matters. I guess the wind could come into play, but if you're starting one of these two.
Jordan Love plays outdoors in Green Bay. It's a little further south. Like, I'm not that worried about that. What it seems to be is like Caleb can help you win in spots. And by you, I mean the Bears. They want to lean on this running game and take the ball out of Caleb's hands. So I think that really is going to be the priority more than anything, which lends itself more to Jordan Love, in my opinion.
Yep. Matty Randoms gives us his roster, but his question is about the flex. He's looking at Algier, Shamiri DK, Darnell Mooney, Jordan Addison, Colby Parkinson. It's Algier to me, and it's not close for this particular roster.
I was going to say, I think you can make a case for Mooney. Who do the Falcons play this
I was going to say, it comes down to, you got to know that
Drake London's out.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, they play the Seahawks this week. Ooh, don't love that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not trusting DK. You're certainly not trusting Addison or Parkinson. Yeah, I might lean Algier just on. I would lean Algier if Drake London plays. If not, I'm going to go Mooney. And the biggest reason is because I think they're going to have to throw to keep up.
Joel just trying to get my blood riled up. TJ Hawkinson breakout week coming. He said,
hey, stay tuned when we say drop TJ Hawkinson.
For the 5th consecutive week that we tell people to drop.
I'm pretty sure it's about 8 now.
Yeah. Depending on who's left to add after waiver claims go through, his starter is Drake May. He needs to add a backup quarterback. Is it Jayden Daniels or Baker Mayfield? To me, Josh, this defaults, and I know you agree with me, to Baker Mayfield because I don't believe Jayden Daniels is playing. So.
Yeah, the report came out that the updated status for Daniels would come on Friday. If that's the case, he's not playing this week.
Certainly not playing this week. And again,
and if you need a starter because Drake May's out this week, go get Baker Mayfield.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're replacing May this week. It's Baker Mayfield. You say after waiver claims, you might want to get the waiver claim in for Baker Mayfield. Yeah. This is a situation, if you need the win this week, you blow the FAAB or whatever.
Correct.
I love this from Matty Randoms. That's why I started. He says he's going with his gut. He felt like he missed out on a lot of players. Believe me, I give advice, and I will still tell you, ignore my advice and trust your gut. And I've said this to so many people over the years. The situation happens one way. Either I'm right or you're right. If I'm right and you trusted your gut, you're going to be mad at yourself a little bit. If you're right and you listen to me, you're going to be fucking furious. There's nothing worse than I was right, but I listened to that asshole on YouTube. Trust your gut always. Live and die with the shit that got you there. The decision.
Yeah, and this is what I always try to tell people. When you're listening to podcasts like this, the big names, reading the articles, whatever it may be, you're doing that to gather information to make your best educated guess. Like we talk about, like sports betting and tailing picks and all these types of things, right? Sometimes if you want to do that blindly, all right, cool. That's your money. But you cannot get mad at other people if you're ultimately making the decision to place that bet or put that person in your starting lineup, right? It comes down to you. You are the one that ultimately makes that decision. When you're listening to these shows, following people, whatever, you're gathering information to make educated guesses because that's all we're doing too.
Yep. Yeah. Trust your gut always. Chris Molina throwing some shade your way. Josh, he was today years old when he realized that the Eagles are playing in primetime for the 50th straight week. He can't wait for that 16-13 barn burner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, when you win the Super Bowl, the NFL wants to put you in primetime, plain and simple. It is what it is.
Exactly. Chris is just a hater because his team got his ass beat by the Patriots.
I wasn't going to go that far, but, shout out Chris. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, love you. Zach says, Dunjay's benched rest of season out of spite. I'm with that. I hold fantasy grudges. T. Higgins doesn't see my starting lineup. If there's
That's why I don't draft T. Higgins anymore.
Exactly.
No, look, I'm with you on Roma Dunjay right now. To me, it's less about the the talent and just more the offense in the situation that's going on right now.
Yep. Third Eye following up on his question from the first question of the show. If something happens to his receivers, who does he want on his bench? To me, it's Wan'Dale or Mike Evans. I don't think Mitchell or Reed play into this. Josh, if we're going, God forbid, I've kind of turned a page on this. If they bring Mike Evans back, we saw it from Godwin. They're bringing him back to use him. If I'm going strictly for bench depth, I'm going Mike Evans over Wan'Dale Robinson.
I would agree with that. Just be cautious. The same thing when they brought back Chris Godwin. The first
he got hurt again.
Struggled a little bit. And also when he came back earlier in the season, he did get hurt again. So if they do bring him back this week, maybe it's week 15 or 16 that he really gets going.
Yeah. That
would be my only cause for pause. But I think if you need it to like win this week, it's Mitchell for me.
And that's fair. I stick with that wholeheartedly. If you're playing one of these guys, you can't play Wan'Dale, you can't play Evans.
Certainly can't play Reed. He's not.
You can't play Reed. Good point. Mitchell's your only option if you need to play someone this week. But if we're talking playoff depth, I'm going to go with my favorite wide receiver of all time, Mike Evans.
100%.
Keenan, do we prefer Mitchell over Watson, Sutton, or Godwin? I saw this, and he says for the playoffs.
If it's for the playoffs, it's Watson.
Oh, no, but he's asking, do we prefer Mitchell over any of these guys? And I don't, Josh. I think for the playoffs right now, those three guys' roles are solid. I like Mitchell as a backup option. I'm going to lean on those guys, but you never know what's going to change from week to week either. So.
Yeah, that's the other side of it. I think you can definitely make the argument for Mitchell over Sutton, the way that Denver passing offense is working.
Yeah.
Godwin seems to be slowly working his way back into the role. There's just so much dysfunction in that Bucs passing offense right now. I don't know if it's offensive line related or just injury uncomfortability with Baker, absolutely. But I'm favoring Watson and Godwin out of this group.
Yep, I think that's fair. George says, are we dropping Darnold for Bo Nix? I am. Darnold made my drop list this week. The Seahawks don't need Sam Darnold to be good for them to be good. Correct. Denver needs Bo Nix to be good for them to be good. I'll go with Bo Nix. So, yeah. ATL Outdoors, would we drop Gadsden for Strange or Juwan Johnson? And this was going to come up later in the show, but you're putting us on the spot. Josh, I would absolutely drop Oronde Gadsden for Brenton Strange.
I would as well. Go get Brenton Strange.
And he points out that Strange and Juwan are the best on the waiver wire. That's what it is in 95% of fantasy leagues right now, and they should both be rostered. And we do believe Oronde Gadsden is a drop at this point.
Will say in the OG Club Fantasy Dynasty League, I'm very happy that I stashed Brenton Strange, because I lost Sam Laporta and I'm dealing with Jake Ferguson and Mark Andrews at tight end. You will be seeing Brenton Strange in my tight end spot.
Caught the news yesterday. Not that you would have started him anyway, but they do not. Laporta got season-ending surgery, so it started off as a 4-week stint. He is not coming back this year. Yeah. I'm going to call you a Zelda fan. I'm going to call you Zelda. It took me a second on that one. So we got Zelda here. Lost wide receiver. I think it's he put out that
other options are on a bye.
Yeah, and I think it's Amon-Ra St. Brown when he's saying who he lost. He says that in the next or in a comment later. But anyway, only other wide receiver is Brian Thomas Jr. Who would we play would we play waiver wire receivers over BTJ? Certainly Adonai Mitchell, Josh.
Yeah, and keep in mind, they do mention it's a standard league. So you want touchdowns, right? I'm fine going Jayden Higgins over BTJ. I'm fine going Adonai Mitchell over BTJ.
Probably
I don't know if I'd go as far. I was going to say, I don't know if I'd go as far as Vele, but I certainly would go those.
What's the matchup this week for the Saints? That would be Tampa Bay. I would start Vele over BTJ. Yeah. Tampa Bay's been one of the worst against wide receivers over the last 5 weeks. So. Yep. Woody Marks or Kyle Monangai in PPR? Josh, I'm not benching Kyle Monangai. Plain and simple. I know Marks has been fine. He did get a little banged up last week, but came back into the game. But Kyle Monangai is just that fucking dude for Chicago right now.
Yeah, I think in PPR you can make the case for Marks simply because he's more involved in the receiving game. But the way that the Bears are using Monangai, they're getting him on the ground and they're giving him the red zone opportunities to score touchdowns, and that's going to trump everything in PPR anyway.
Yep. Truth. Full PPR. Jesus Christ, man. What are you doing at running back? Start to P. Ryan, Devin Neal, Adonai Mitchell, or Tesla.
This is either I'm getting blown apart by bye weeks or like a 14 or 16 team league, I would hope.
You're a new name. We have great fun here. We are going to answer your question seriously. I just haven't seen Samaje P. Ryan's name in a question for a very long time. But Josh, this is actually a pretty easy answer for me. I'm going with the 2 wide receivers.
Yep, so. I'm going the last 2. Don't trust Devin Neal. He got going a little bit, but it still wasn't anything great. And I think I think it's less an indictment on him as a talent and more an indictment on the Saints offensive line just isn't there yet. But yeah, it's Mitchell and Tesla for me.
Zelda, Burrow, or Mayfield? Josh, I'm not benching Joe Burrow, plain and simple. He has the dogs. He just did it against a division rival. He has a lot to prove. If he's playing, I'm starting him, plain and simple.
Yeah, Mayfield doesn't look comfortable. Give me Burrow.
Yep. I'm going to put this on hold for a bit. We got about 5 questions left, so we will be right back with you folks. Let's knock out the main segment of the show before we move into that. I will remind you, if you like what you're hearing, hit that like button. If you want to hear it again next week, 11 a.m. every single Tuesday, hit that subscribe button. If you happen to be listening on Apple or Spotify, hit that follow button. We do have Super Chat, but as you can see, we get to every question. If you throw us a little money, we'll smile. We'll make you feel good about it. If you want to talk fantasy football when the show is over, jump into that completely free Discord, link in the description of this video. We call this section Morris Code. This is where you are going to get the leg up on your league. Some of these guys are good. Some of these guys are traps. We go to this one. This is your main waiver section of the show. Done by position, starting with the quarterbacks. Jacoby Brissett is somehow only 50% rostered. If you're looking at 10 to 12 team leagues, even 8-team leagues, Jacoby Brissett, CJ Stroud, Tyrod Taylor, and Trevor Lawrence. Josh, let's start with the elephant in the room. Why does everybody hate Jacoby Brissett?
I'm literally trying to figure that out. Since week 9, he is the QB2 in fantasy football. QB2. There is only one quarterback better than Jacoby Brissett in fantasy football. I don't care if the Cardinals are losing games. I care about what you're doing for my fantasy team. And right now, Jacoby Brissett is carrying fantasy teams. Why is he still available? I understand there's a lot of leagues that aren't very active, and that's probably playing into this. Yep. Or some of the higher scoring teams are like, well, I'm not fucking with what's good and blah, blah, blah. But if you're telling me that you're holding on to Lamar Jackson, if you're telling me you're holding on to Justin Herbert, if you're telling me that you're hanging on to Baker Mayfield, and leaving Jacoby Brissett on waivers as a result, I'm going to tell you that you're going to lose your fantasy league because you're not paying attention to the stats. You're only paying attention to the names.
Yep. Actually, I want to throw one comment up real quick because it kind of plays into that. Day on the water, when we said trust your gut, he said statistically we're the better option. I will say, Josh and I are in a privileged position that we study this shit really, really good. But Josh said it though. We're giving you the stats. It's how you decide to digest it. So it is trust your gut, but sometimes we can hopefully guide your gut to the right option here.
And Josh, right now we're guiding you to Jacoby Brissett. Pick his ass up and keep him off waivers.
As we have been for 4 weeks. He has been my stream of the week quarterback for the last 3 weeks, I'm pretty sure, because you guys just keep letting me pick him. Guess what? If he doesn't go over 50% tonight, he's going to be my stream of the week quarterback again this week. I'm not a fucking idiot. And guess what? I practice what I preach. Anybody who plays in a league with me knows this. I am playing Jacoby Brissett over Baker Mayfield in so many leagues, Josh. So.
Well, I'm going to pose this question since we're talking Jacoby Brissett. Would you go Brissett over Joe Burrow?
Shit, no. Only because Joe Burrow has T. Higgins and Jamar fucking Chase. I'm just putting it bluntly.
Joe Burrow's also got the Bills defense.
Who is
this week
beatable? You just got to hope.
And
watch
Brissett
the weather.
Plays the Rams.
Why are we getting so many Burrow questions? I'm sorry. I'm looking at the next question. It's like, come on, folks. Don't make it hard on us. I like it when it's easy questions. I love Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was my QB3 last week. He let me down. He was over Joe Burrow in my rankings. I think he will be top 7 or 8 for me rest of the season, Josh, but I'm going to go with the guy who has 2 of the best wide receivers in football, plain and simple.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I don't hate the matchup for Brissett. Like, you can throw on the Rams. They do have a good front 7, though. I'm taking the Panthers game out of, with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think I'm still going to lean Burrow over Brissett. Again, love Brissett. But I think this right here, this is the question.
But this is what I'm getting at is we've been down on Lamar. We've been up on Brissett. Quincy listened. Quincy's 13-0, folks. Get on his level. Josh, if Jacoby Brissett is not out there, there is one other quarterback from my list that you think is worth a look.
Yeah, and to me, it's Trevor Lawrence. Right now, he's QB 14 on the season. Average. Cool. That's about where I had him going into the season. Yeah. But since week 9, he's the QB 6.
Wow.
And he's actually doing more with his legs than I initially thought.
Incredible.
And he's getting it in bunches. So, like, he'll go a couple games without much, and then he'll pop for, 2 rushing touchdowns, right? I don't know what's going on with that running game. It seems like they want to get Bashal Tutin involved, but it's costing them Travis Etienne at this point.
It's very strange.
But going out and getting Jacoby Myers finally solidified this passing attack, in my opinion.
Like you said,
now you get Brenton Strange. Yep. And now you get Brenton Strange off of IR. Trevor Lawrence has a safety blanket now. He's got good matchups over the next 4 weeks. Like I said, he's got the Colts twice. You can throw on the Colts. That is a defense that you can beat. And they need to beat this team to stay ahead of them in the AFC South.
Absolutely.
I like Trevor Lawrence a lot this week and going forward over the next month.
Looking at running back, Kyle Monangai is at 55% rostered, so he doesn't fit into this category, but that's still way too low. Kyle Monangai needs to be on your roster. Chris Rodriguez, Tyjae Spears, Jordan Mason. I'm kind of hedging my bet on this one. You need Aaron Jones to miss time. Jordan Mason is not that relevant when they both play. Devin Singletary is on a bye, but Josh, I don't think we can ignore him too much. And then I put Blake Corum, but the lesson is the lesson. Handcuffs need to be rostered now, folks. If Kyron Williams would have seriously got hurt last week, every Kyron Williams manager who didn't have Blake Corum, now you're competing with the whole field.
Right now. Yep.
Like, don't have the whole field fighting for you. Get them before your guy gets hurt, so you're not worried about it.
Yeah, and that's really what I led off the waiver wire article with this week. Like, I didn't want to touch on too many of these running backs. Like, Algier should already be rostered. Blake Corum should already be rostered, right? Like, yes, Corum coming through and scoring a touchdown this week. He hasn't had over 10 carries in the last 2 games. So, like, if you don't roster Kyren Williams, you do not need Blake Corum, plain and simple.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing with Tyler Algier. Like, he's okay. He operates independently, but his floor is so low if he doesn't score a touchdown.
Yep.
You don't need him unless you have Bijan Robinson.
Josh, in one of our leagues until last week, I was shit at running back and I was starting Algier. But the fact that, and it may be you, I might be about to bust your balls. The fact that the Bijan Robinson manager didn't come at me in the Ballers and Friends League to get Tyler Algier. I
do have Bijan in that league.
I thought it was you. I was going to say, so.
I don't usually play the handcuff game in Dynasty unless the rosters are super.
That's deep. A good point too. We're talking Dynasty versus redraft. It really, because you already have other running backs feasibly that you can start.
And I just got Bucky Irving back. Thank God.
Yeah. But Josh, let's get into, because your very first point is that 2 of these guys should be 100% rostered.
Yeah, and that's Kyle Monangai and Devin Singletary. I understand Devin Singletary is on a bye this week. We talked about it the moment that Cam Scatabo went down. They are going to utilize Devin Singletary. Yep. The moment that they fired Brian Daboll, an interim head coach comes into play. They are going to lean on veterans because they are trying to win. It's not an organizational, you keep tanking games, we want the higher draft pick. No, Mike Kafka is coaching for a head coaching opportunity, whether that is with the Giants or to get hired by somebody else. And he's been interviewed for head coaching opportunities over the past few off seasons. So he's not going to rely on an inexperienced Tyrone Tracy to pass block for their prized rookie quarterback.
Who picked up
Tyrone Tracy who just came off of a concussion, right? Tyrone Tracy just went down with a leg injury this week. I understand the Giants are on a bye in week 14. We don't know the severity of said leg injury, and we may not find out until after week 14 even happens.
So get Devin Singletary.
Go grab Devin Singletary. Like, maybe you can wait until waivers pass, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe you can. Let it pass. See if Devin Singletary's out there. And if he is, go grab him for that end of the bench roster spot, because RB depth during the fantasy playoffs is crucial. We see running backs get hurt all the time. Kyle Monangai, same situation, except he's not on a bye. He's getting run in tandem with DeAndre Swift. Both of these guys are starting running backs in fantasy football right now. None of them should be on waivers, plain and simple.
I agree wholeheartedly. One more starting running back on this list, Josh, and that's Chris Rodriguez out of Washington.
Yeah, I'm still unsure, like, really what it's worth being the lead back for the Washington Commanders.
Because they don't throw the ball to the running back?
Yeah, like, he's barely seeing a 40% snap share. He's not involved in the passing game. They're having to throw to keep up anyway, which really limits Rodriguez's upside. He's less expensive Quinshon Judkins, in my opinion. He gets the run. If he scores a touchdown, he's flex worthy. He's a low end RB2. But the odds of that actually happening, they're just really slim. He feels like a very desperation start in deep leagues, like 14, 16 team leagues. Excuse me. But if you're talking like 10, even 12 team leagues, I think he's worth a roster spot, but I'm not itching to start him unless I'm absolutely desperate.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. Wide receiver, the list is not very big this week, mainly because Josh's list was huge this week. So literally on my list, Josh, I just realized I only had 3. So Christian Watson is at 52% rostered. Alec Pierce is out there. Darius Slayton's out there. Darius Slayton is on a bye, but had a pretty big week this week. So Josh, because you covered so many, I only added 3 here, but I know I did get 2 of your kind of like favorite guys here in Christian Watson and Alec Pierce. So.
Yeah, I don't know why Christian Watson is only 52% rostered. Like this very similarly to Jacoby Brissett. Like, what are we doing? Like, the dude has been balling out since he got here or since he came back off of IR. And I think that's really the issue here is because he started the season on IR. Some of these leagues are not as active as they were during the first month of the season. Yeah. So nobody's going through and picking up Watson after, coming off of IR. Watson saw 12 targets this past week. Yes, I understand. He got overshadowed by Dontavian Wicks' 2 touchdown performance. Dontavian Wicks has these pop weeks every single year. He's the Taysom Hill of wide receivers. You never know when it's happening, and it's on your bench. The same way that it was Dontavian Wicks on my bench in Scott Fishbowl. Yeah. I had him and Devon Vele on my bench in Scott Fishbowl. Let me tell you how fucking pissed off I am. 2 40 burgers on my bench. And I advanced by the skin of my teeth.
Woo.
Because I got 3 points from Khalil Shakir this week.
I also advanced.
Anyway. Yeah, Christian Watson needs to be rostered. He's the number 1 passing option in that Packers offense now that Tucker Kraft is out. Alec Pierce, I don't trust the consistency of this Colts passing offense now that it's been revealed that Daniel Jones is playing with a partial fracture of his leg. He's still doing okay. Like, he hasn't been bad. He's a very mid fantasy quarterback. This, it's been we were hyping up Alec Pierce, and then he shit the bed, wasn't really doing anything, and now he gets the 1 week, and now it's like, all right, we're going to rush to go grab him again. Why? Go grab Adonai Mitchell, who I think is going to be more consistent. Go grab Jayden Higgins, who I think has a much steadier floor week in and week out.
So Josh would say put Pierce into the deeper league section, not the shallow league section.
Yeah.
But Josh, you've now created an enemy for life. Comparing Dontavian Wicks to Taysom Hill. Joel Worth says it's on site the next time you guys meet up. He won't stand for that blasphemy. And Josh, I said this last week. The fucking waiver tight ends are chef's kiss. We already talked about how great Brenton Strange is. We've talked all show about Jawan Johnson, but you still have Dalton Schultz. Harold Fannin is a favorite of Shadur Sanders. Zach Ertz went off last week, and every one of those guys is just over 50% average or rostered. The law of averages says 1 or 2 of these guys is available in your league right now. Josh, you want to talk a little bit about Zach Ertz?
Yeah, I think Zach Ertz should 100% be rostered. When you have the top 2 wide receiver options healthy, defenses will absolutely forget about Zach Ertz. He made the Denver Broncos pay this past week with Debo healthy, with Terry McLaurin healthy. He's free to eat up space in the middle of the field. This is what he does. He's not a game breaker in the sense of, blazing speed up the seam. He's a chain mover, and he scores touchdowns. He had a drop in the end zone that would have even elevated his game. Like in our tight end premium dynasty league, he had 28 fantasy points for me. That's what you want.
We're talking another 8 if he catches that drop touchdown.
That's what I'm saying. So you're talking about a 30-point performance from Zach Ertz. Like, I'm not saying you're going to get that level of production every week,
but it's possible.
But you're looking at 10 plus every week, and his 4 remaining matchups, every single team allows on average over 10 fantasy points to the tight end position since week 8.
Love it.
He is a steady streamer at the position the rest of the season.
There you go. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Back to the chat. Talking about tight ends. Damn, I timed that out perfectly. George says, if Strange is taken, it's Jawan Johnson over Goddard, right?
Yes.
Same. Okay, so we're agreeing there. And then Watson over Adunze is also a yes. So
yes.
If that's what your gut tells you, guess what? That's what Josh and Ryan tell you as well. Matty Random.
I would have told you that regardless of what your gut said.
Yep. So. He says he takes our advice, but he works full-time and we get to do this. And I want to throw out there, Josh also works full-time. I want to give Josh a lot of credit. I always said, I focus very much on fantasy stats. Josh is way better with like NFL and how players are actually performing. To me, it's all a numbers game with fantasy stats. So me and Josh make a great team when it comes to this. We appreciate you tuning in. George, other tough one is Watson over Abuka.
I would take Watson over both of them right now.
Okay. Well, we had already said it, Doomsday, so I just wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked on not this past Monday, the previous one, about how Abuka's just, again, it's name right now. Like, he had a great first half of the season, and he has one double-digit fantasy game over the last month and a half.
Yep. We're not going to beat that dead horse, because I think George's next question is the better one. Watson or AD Mitchell, Josh?
It's still Watson.
Okay. So I guess it wasn't a great question. Sorry, George. Bayonne Jeff. What are our thoughts on Keaton Mitchell? Is he a top pickup for week 14? He did not make any of our lists, but I know, Josh, I got to go look the stats up. I know he popped a little bit for Baltimore.
He did have a touchdown run, I believe. He hit the edge and
2 carries for 19 yards. As Josh pointed out, a touchdown. I can't see what his long carry was. I'm going to guess it was a long touchdown. But Josh, also 3 targets. Justice Hill is out. I'm not going to call him a top ad, mainly because I hate this offense. But I will say, if I'm the Derrick Henry manager, or if I have the empty roster spot and prefer a running back, I think Keaton Mitchell's worth an ad.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically taking the Justice Hill role now that Hill's on IR. It's a complementary piece to Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's still the bell cow in that offense, but Mitchell offers a very different skill set, right? Like, he's the quick, scat back kind of profile. This offense needs to get the ground game going, plain and simple. Like, this is where they make their bread and butter. And if they can get the ground game going, hopefully that benefits the passing offense and Lamar struggles. But to me, this is very much a deep league ad. I would not put him as a top pickup for running back. Although I understand,
even make my deep league list.
Although I understand that running back is very thin. Let's just put it this way, Jeff. Are you ever going to feel comfortable starting Keaton Mitchell in his at most 5 touches per game? Because I'm not, and that's really what it boils down to.
Yep, you're praying for an injury.
Now, if you're talking about you roster Derrick Henry, then yes, 100% go get Keaton Mitchell.
Get your handcuffs.
Yeah.
Quincy, full PPR. Sutton, Monangai, Mike Evans, Jacoby Myers. Needs more help at wide receiver. It's Jacoby Myers for me.
It's Jacoby Myers, 100%. Yep.
He has carved out the Chris Godwin role. Zach says it's way too early, but what's y'all's best guess on top running backs to go after next year? Does JT have another year like this again? I'm going to say, first of all, I cannot predict comfortably that JT has another year like this again. We've seen JT have a great year and then followed up with a subpar year. But what I will instead do is draw your attention to our Monday show. Zach, I think you are the Zach who is also on Twitch, who kind of pops back and forth. Maybe I'm wrong, but regardless, when the season ends, we do a way too early mock draft. So I think it's our week 18 show, because there's nothing to really recap from week 18. We're going to do an early mock draft, and you'll hear us talk about the running backs you should target. So check out that.
I'll say. What goes up must come down. I said that Derrick Henry would regress this year. I said that Saquon Barkley would regress this year.
Yeah.
2 for 2 so far.
But real quick, just to answer your question, Josh, I'm going to steal yours, and I don't know if you have another one. Devon Achane's a guy I'm targeting heavily next year.
Yeah, he's going to be an interesting one, simply because when you look at a smaller guy like that and the amount of carries and touches that he has, it worries me. I'm not.
Oh, interesting.
It does worry me a little bit, but depending on what they ultimately do at the wide receiver position, there's all the buzz that maybe they cut outright Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is floated the idea of retirement after the leg injury, etc. If he remains a top 2 guy in that offense, then I'm going to be wheels up for Devon Achane. And like I said, I was very high on Achane heading into this year. At one point, he was my RB2, and I did get a lot of pushback on that. He hasn't quite hit RB2 status, but he's balled out this season.
Yeah. I want to quickly throw Zach up on the screen. He says he'll be there. If you really want to be there, quick shout out to everybody to join our Discord. Link in the description of this video. There is a section of the Discord called Mock Drafts. The first invites, if you actually want to do the draft with us, will go out there. Again, that's going to be our week 18 show. We do a draft as if it's next season with this season's stats fresh in mind, and see how it looks. Quincy, running backs are CMC, Hendo, Swift, Harvey. Has Abuka, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson on IR as his wide receivers. He's dropping. I'm confused.
So this is a continuation from his previous question about Myers.
Oh, go get Jacoby Myers, plain and simple. And
you don't need Franklin. Go get Myers.
Yeah. Burrow or Stafford, Josh? This was when I was like, stop making this so hard on us, because I can't bench Matt Stafford with all the glazing I was doing of Joe Burrow. I'm not benching Matt Stafford for most quarterbacks in this league, Josh. Right now, as of my early rankings, Matt Stafford is my QB3 this week. I don't care that he threw 2 picks last week. It's Matt Stafford.
Yeah, and it's against Arizona. It's Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. Like I said, I know we are loving Joe Burrow. You cannot deny.
As long as Devontae Adams is there in the red zone, it's Matthew Stafford.
Best tight end in football. I don't get the usage there, but man, it's fun. We buy homes. Would you drop Aaron Jones or Daniel Jones for Terry McLaurin?
Yes.
He made the playoffs. Yeah. He made the playoffs, has that first round bye. Who's your quarterback? I mean, you probably don't need Daniel Jones, certainly not in a 10 team. Josh, I'll hold Aaron Jones and start with Daniel Jones. I'm not going to feel comfortable starting my season with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, Aaron Jones being banged up with the shoulder, not great, but he's still the leader in that Vikings backfield.
Yeah, Zelda brings up that he got Burrow off of waivers. Josh, I was actually able to pull this off on the Club Fantasy Listener League.
Oh, geez.
At the end of one of this show where
because we kept telling people there's no way he comes back.
Yeah.
See, guys, sometimes our advice sucks.
Sometimes I'm a snake and I tell you not to go get him. And I just went and got him. I have Dak in that league, I'm pretty sure, but I'm just going to keep running. I'm still going to probably run Dak, but I mean, at least now nobody else has Burrow to use against me. Zach says if the Bengals beat the Bills, he thinks they make a run and get into the playoffs. I don't know about that, Josh, but it's certainly on the cards.
I was texting with our buddy Hoove yesterday, and we were talking about how the rest of the season would play out and predicting records and all that kind of stuff. And he actually has the Bengals winning out.
There you go.
And I was like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but the AFC North is very much up for grabs. For as bad as the Bengals have been, they're only 2 games out. Steelers look like they're on a downswing. I don't know what to make of Baltimore right now. I do still think that Baltimore finds a way to win that division, which ultimately keeps the Bengals out. Because, again, I do think the Bengals have to win out to win that division, because otherwise the winner of the North is going to be 8-9, and I don't think that happens.
Yeah. Zelda, Strange or Jake Ferguson? Great question here. He has Kittle on bye. So, Josh, you spent a lot of time Monday telling people about the worries around Jake Ferguson. He gets Detroit this week on the Thursday game.
Yeah, Jake Ferguson balled out the first 7 weeks of the season. Since week 8, he is the tight end 19 in fantasy. He's the tight end 22 in points per game. This question is not a question to me. It's Brenton Strange.
Yep. I
will go so far as to say I literally have both of these guys on one dynasty roster, and I'm starting Brenton Strange over Jake Ferguson. So if you go this route and Jake Ferguson outscores him, we go down together, Zelda.
There you go. Alpocalypse, Watson or Corum? He has Abuka.
Watson.
Yeah, it's Watson.
Corum is a handcuff. That's it.
Yep.
He does not have individual flex value, in my opinion.
Would we drop Tootin to get Singletary? Josh, I'm not going to go this far yet. I think you will, though. I will say it may have mattered to Josh if you have Travis Etienne.
Yeah, if you have Travis Etienne, I'm holding Tootin, plain and simple.
Yeah.
I said this on Monday's show. I do think that Etienne's usage against the Titans was more game script and less, wow, he just really sucked. Like, I understand he only had 28 yards on 11 carries, but they were blowing him out in the first half, and it just kept going. Titans couldn't get anything going, so there's no need to risk Travis Etienne. I still think he's a leader in that backfield, but they need to see what they have in Tootin. Like, they spent a pick on him. They're very high on him. He's had a couple decent games, but it hasn't really been, any steady string of stuff going on.
I like that they're starting to use him in the 5 a la Kyle Manon guy. So
yeah, and
he's not doing well.
That's fair. Yeah, he just hasn't gotten it going yet, right? Maybe it's a vision problem. Maybe it's hasn't gotten enough reps problem. If you need to, play somebody this week, then I'm obviously going to keep Tootin. But I think long term, honestly, like I would much rather have Singletary. I think he has better standalone value.
I'm going to throw this comment up here because I'm laughing so hard right now. Avro, I don't know what you're going for here, but we love Adonai Mitchell this week. I don't know what your comments are. If you have a question, get the question in there.
Hey, bumping up the algorithm. I like it.
I appreciate the bump there. Zelda does say most of his team's on bye. Josh, are we willing to drop Ferguson for Strange? Keep in mind, he has George Kittle. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, 100% okay with that.
Yeah, Yeah, don't worry about putting him out there. If anything, this is the opposite of what Josh and I talk about. You may actually be dropping a landmine for your league right now because
there you go. People fall in love with names and they forget about stats, plain and simple.
Who said he is so happy that he got Toyotathon, Jordan Love, and Christian Watson. Jordan Love is the hero of November.
I'm telling you. For all the talk of Derrick Henry rules November, December, Jordan Love in November, Toyotathon, baby.
Yep. Alex Thomas traded Marvin Harrison for Dak, Zay Jones, and Garrett Wilson right before the trade deadline. Had Jacoby Brissett before, and Zay and Garrett will be his wide receiver 2 now. I like this trade overall. You got better at every position, and Marvin Harrison was not a lot to pay. Right now, unfortunately.
Now he's hurt again.
Yeah, he's hurt again. Zay Jones and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, I did read, is probably back in week 15, though. So,
I mean, if that's the case, then, hey, utilize Adonai Mitchell this week and, kiss it goodbye. But I still think he has a role even when Garrett Wilson comes back. Like I said, there was 20 targets between Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie this past week. So there's plenty of room for at least one of those two guys to pair with Garrett Wilson.
Yep. And then George clarifies all the fun we were having with his question. Would we go as far as AD over Ibuka or Odunze? He asked Watson. I guess the real question is, Josh, are we going Watson and AD over both of these two names? And I think we are.
I mean, Mitchell plays Miami.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that 100%.
Yeah.
Like, again, the Saints, not the best defense. Obviously, you can throw on them. But there's, I don't understand how you can have confidence in Ibuka right now, given what he's done over the last 6-7 weeks.
Nothing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Keenan says, if he's able to get Wirtz, does that make Waller droppable to get Singletary? And I think the answer is yes. But his next question is, would we ever start Singletary over Kieran? And Josh, I wouldn't. I know Kieran got banged last week. He's still that dude. He has 10 touchdowns this season. Kieran Williams is fine. I just want to be very clear about that.
Yeah, he's just not the RB1 that we all thought he would be in the season. He's just a high-end RB2, and that's fine.
Precisely. Jonathan, someone dropped BTJ. Is he even worth picking up? He did lose Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to have to go Jayden Higgins or Sharps this week. I'm starting Higgins over BTJ. I would need to know who you're dropping, Jonathan. As of now, I would say leaving him on waivers is not the worst idea ever.
Yeah, it's literally what you just spoke about with Jake Ferguson. Leave the landmines for someone else. I mean, I'm okay. If it's a deep end of the roster that you're never going to start, take a dart throw on BTJ because, again, we've seen great. And he finished the season strong last season.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just the second half kind of guy, and that's okay.
Or he's a Mac Jones kind of guy.
Or that, yeah. So, if Mac Jones gets traded, look out. That team's trading for BTJ, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or if BTJ ends up in San Francisco, Mac Jones is stealing that starting job from Brock Purdy. Right? I just want to throw that out there. We Buy Homes brings up something interesting, Josh, because I wonder, do we consider Daniel Jones the landmine? He says his starter's Dak. He doesn't want to drop Daniel Jones, and this was the league where we told him he could drop Jones instead of some wide receiver. He doesn't want to drop him because of the Herbert owner. And if he had not brought the Herbert owner into this, I would have said Jones is a landmine. The Herbert owner is in a tough spot right now, Josh. I know this because I am him. So.
Yeah, the Herbert manager needs help, obviously. You need somebody to pick up to protect your asset. Is Daniel Jones really that?
I mean, 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 weeks.
He's a starting, yeah, sure. He's a streaming option.
He's Aaron Rodgers right now because he can't run. He's 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And that's okay, but it's not winning you a week.
That's what I'm getting at, Josh.
You alive.
Nobody was in a rush to get Aaron Rodgers. I'm agreeing with you here.
So, and I think that's the point. It's not like you're dropping a Jacoby Brissett or a Joe Burrow, right? You're not dropping somebody that's actually going to help you win a week. Daniel Jones keeps you relevant.
Yeah.
So
all I'll say is if the Herbert owner is fighting for a playoff spot, I'm okay with not dropping Daniel Jones this week. Don't make other teams in your league any better. Make him go start somebody who sucks. And then, Josh, as we wrap up the rounds of questions, and then we will get everything else done at the end of the show, Jacoby Brissett or Jordan Love, probably our 2 favorite quarterbacks of the show. I'm still sticking with Jacoby Brissett here.
Yeah, I'm fine sticking with Brissett. But again, this is the benefit of being able to play the matchups, right? Brissett going against the Rams this week, tougher front. You can throw on him. Jordan Love, divisional matchup, outside. It's technically December. As long as Toyotathon's going on, it's Jordan Love for me.
Doesn't matter. So. Exactly. All right, Josh, we always tell the folks, the people they can drop every week. We call it Mayday, Mayday. You drafted them. You've held on to them this long, but it's okay to admit you're wrong. We again do this by position. And Josh, at quarterback, I already said Sam Darnold, but I think the conversation we need to have is that in certain league settings, Josh, it's okay to drop Lamar Jackson right now. Short bench leagues, certainly smaller 8-team leagues. If you are not comfortable starting Lamar Jackson, to me, Josh, it's the landmine thing that I just started talking about on this show. Lamar Jackson could end up on someone else's roster, but that might not necessarily be the bad thing based on his play over the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to think about because you know what Lamar Jackson,
because you know he's a 40-point upside. So.
Correct. Yeah, it's the ultimate. God, I'm leaving this out there, and somebody's going to pick him up, and they're going to.
Yeah, we just had a guy not wanting to drop Daniel Jones, and we're saying it's okay to drop.
Yeah, him. Right. So and again, and I get it wholeheartedly. The thing is, if you're talking one quarterback leagues, Lamar has not been Lamar, and at the end of the day, you need a win. You can't sit here and guess when that pop week is going to come. You need instantaneous results. If Lamar is not giving them and the matchups aren't there, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah. That was really it at quarterback. The last couple of weeks, I haven't even had anyone to drop there. Josh, I think Alvin Kamara is in a similar, worse situation than Lamar. If I desperately need a roster spot, I'm not dropping Kamara just to drop him. But if I need a roster spot, and I'll let you talk about that in a second, but I think guys who are droppable for sure, more than 50% rostered, Rachaad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Bill Krosky-Merritt. You're tired of hearing me say it at this point. But Josh, I know you've not been a big fan of Kamara to this point. He's had one good game in the last 2 months. So
yeah, and he's still injured. Who knows if he even comes back? Saints aren't fighting for anything. They obviously need to see what they have in Devin Neal. I think even if Alvin Kamara comes back, I'm not holding my breath, quite honestly. To me, he's just a dead asset for the rest of the season.
Yep. I debated putting Justin Jefferson on this list for the clicks, for the rage in the comments, but I decided I didn't want to. However, Jordan Addison does make this list. And Josh, I would lump DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs, and Jordan Addison into that same situation I talked about with Lamar Jackson and Kamara. I'm not dropping them just to drop them, but if I need a spot this week, I'm not afraid of putting those guys on waivers. The guys who I know you won't push back on, Jerry Jeudy, Ricky Pearsall, Rashid Shaheed. I do not understand why folks are continuing to roster Rashid Shaheed. It's not happening. But the three guys, Josh, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, it's hard because of their names, but the performance ain't living up to it.
Correct. Yeah, it's the same thing with Lamar Jackson. It's what have you done for me lately? And right now it hasn't been much. Like Stephon Diggs can pop at any minute, but you just never know with that.
Well, he should have popped in each of the last 2 weeks. And
he should have, 100%. Yeah. Thanks to Stephon Diggs' poor performance, I survived in both of my
I saw that in the comments earlier today.
Yeah, that was great. Love that. So I'll take that W. But yeah, so Jordan Addison, again, good player, just a product of a shitty team right now.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs is just a victim of too much distribution. And DK has just been a headache, quite honestly. Like, again, not rushing to drop him because we know what he's able to do. But, if you need a spot start because somebody is on a bye week, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. This is crunch time. You got to get in the playoffs.
Yep. At tight end, despite Joel's best campaigning for him, I think TJ Hawkinson is still droppable, as is David Njoku, folks. Move on. But Josh, we kind of hit this earlier in the show. I thought this was going to be the big ending of the show. But Josh, I think it's time to consider moving on from Oronde Gadsden and getting back into the streaming pool. He saved us from streaming earlier. I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, when you look at the streaming options that are available, Zach Ertz,
too good.
Brenton Strange, Juwan Johnson, what's the other one? Dalton Schultz, Harold Fannin. Those are all guys right now that are performing better than Oronde Gadsden, have better situations.
And there's no real light at the end of the tunnel for Oronde Gadsden.
Correct. Yeah, they cannot protect Justin Herbert, and now he's hurt. They need to protect Justin Herbert, and I think that's going to come at the expense of Oronde Gadsden.
Yep. We're going to finish the show up with chat questions. So just remember, subscribe, do all those great things. But let's get into deep sea diving. I play in a 14-team home league. These are the kind of decisions you're making in a 14-team league. Quarterback, Marcus Mariota, Tyler Shugg, even Shadur Sanders. He has not looked awful. Jerry Jeudy's doing his best to make him look bad. Another kind of easy matchup for Cleveland this week. At running back, Bam Knight continues to perform despite the schedule and everything else going wrong for him in Arizona. Malik Davis has cemented himself as the backup there. Devin Neal, Bayshall too, and these were guys that I thought were going to be viable in 12-team leagues. I think they're more viable in deep leagues. As same with John Mechie. We spent a lot of this show talking about Adonai Mitchell, but John Mechie isn't dead yet. Shamiri DK might be dead, but I still think he's probably the wide receiver one there, so he's probably worth a roster spot. Same story for Trey Tucker. Josh talked about Khalif Raymond. I think he could benefit with this Amon-Ra St. Brown miss, and Dontavian Wicks. While we're not buying into him on the small leagues, deeper leagues, he might be worth a shot. Same thing with Kayshon Boutte. At tight end, there's so many great options in the upper leagues. They might still be there for you in these deeper leagues. But if not, AJ Barner, Colston Loveland, Isaiah Likely, and Gunnar Helm Josh has seemed to become a favorite of Cam Ward, and that's something that I'm more interested for next season. But if you need a deep streamer in a deep league, he's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Young rookie quarterbacks like
loves his rookie tight end.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen that coming.
Who would have thought? All right, folks. We got 4 questions in the chat. Get them in now if you're going to get them answered. Joel just pours a little water on us, saying maybe we're going a little overboard on Emeka Egbuka just because of the volume. 8 targets per game. It's not like the Saints are great. So I don't think Joel is on board with benching Emeka Egbuka for Christian Watson or Adonai Mitchell specifically.
I mean, and that's fair. I would still put Watson over Egbuka, but you can certainly make the argument over, Adonai Mitchell. Sure. Like at a certain point, targets need to turn into production, and they're not for Egbuka. So, it's the Justin Jefferson effect, right? Like he's, seeing targets, but not turning into anything. So what the fuck's the point?
Millie, good to see you, buddy. Dropping in to talk his shit. 8-5, clinched the number 3 seed. Been in the league for 6 years. Never missed the playoffs.
Oh, we're getting that ring this year, buddy.
So I want to tell you a story about this trophy right here. My home league is in its 25th year. It took me, 20th year. I'm sorry. It took me 15 years to win my first championship. It was hilarious to my friends that I host a fantasy football podcast and had never won a championship. My wife won the second ever championship in that league. So she has one of those trophies in her office before I had one out here on my mantle. It makes it so much sweeter when you finally win it. Hopefully you don't have to wait as long as me. Great question from Bayonne Jeff here. How much weight do we put on schedule versus stats? And I'm going to let Josh answer his way. I'm going to answer my way. For me, Josh, it's all about stats. It's all about performance, and matchup is the tiebreaker for me. There are certain guys, Dak Prescott. I'll use a specific example. I have Dak Prescott and Jared Goff. Both put up similar numbers. That's where matchup matters for me. I will choose who has the better matchup, but that's because they put up similar numbers. If I had Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert, I'm starting Dak every single week. The matchup does not play into it at that point.
So, and I think this is where tier rankings are immensely helpful.
Yeah.
So like, it's one thing to go through and see somebody's rankings, 1 through 32 a quarterback, or 1 through 60 or whatever wide receiver.
And I just want to throw out Josh just not hating on other websites.
No, I'm not at all. Look, every place does this. Every place does
tier rankings. I'm just throwing.
So I went through when I did my off-season rankings and put them all together, and I said, you know what? I think it would be really helpful if I grouped them into tiers. And truthfully, if I didn't work full time and I had more time to do this, I would update these tiers by the week.
Yeah.
And I think a website and individual that does this really well is Dwayne McFarland over on Fantasy Life because of his utilization report. So shout out there. Sam Holt, who does our Sideline Banter show, co-production, Club Fantasy, Women of Fantasy Football. She does graphic design for Fantasy Life. She always has a promo code. Pay attention to that show. Get on board. They have some awesome tools there. But tier rankings become so immensely helpful for this exact purpose. Because when you have players that are grouped into similar tiers, your tiebreaker then becomes the matchups, plain and simple. It becomes, look, if this guy's going against the number 3 ranked defense against quarterbacks versus, well, this guy in the same bucket is going against the 25th ranked defense against quarterbacks, that's your tiebreaker. Yep. That's the matchup that you want to take advantage of. But if you're talking about, a Patrick Mahomes who's going against this 3rd ranked defense against quarterbacks versus what's a good example here? Baker Mayfield against the 27th ranked defense against quarterbacks. You're still going Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes is the top 3 quarterback this year.
And Josh, this is
Baker's hanging on for dear life.
Just to let people know how my sausage is made. Weird thing to say. How I start my projections, I have a base projection of how I have them projected to finish the season. It's my rest of season projection. I drop that into Fantasy Pros, and then I look at the schedule and say, okay, Patrick Mahomes needs bumped up a little bit or down a little bit, and Baker Mayfield up or down. So it always starts with stats for me, and then it's schedule. So Great question, Jeff. Thanks. Quincy Davis, do we think T. Higgins is back this week? Not a doctor, but Josh, I would say I think only one player recently has missed multiple games with a concussion.
Stroud.
Yeah, Stroud.
Jackson Dart missed too as well.
So I wonder. So they've both been quarterbacks, which I think there's something to that too. So
yeah, I mean, I would wager.
I think he
probably plays, but
yeah,
some
defensive questions to end the show. Zach, Chargers, Eagles, or Rams this week? Josh, I'm leaning Rams. If I knew Trey Lance was starting, it's the Eagles, but I can't wait till Monday to find that out. I'm going to start my Rams before I do that. So
yeah, I'll start the Rams. I'm not banking on the Eagles defense right now. They've been bending a little too far.
Nothing worse.
They're Reed Richards getting stretched by Galactus in the Fantastic Four right now. That's the Eagles defense.
It may break at some point. Nothing worse than the guy who's had the least points allowed and the third most points for being in second place. So, fantasy, man. Yep.
This is why median scoring.
Cleveland. Quincy has Cleveland and Houston for the fantasy playoffs. Is that good enough? The answer is yes. Houston for the fantasy playoffs is filthy. Arizona, Las Vegas, and the Chargers. Cleveland has Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. What I love here is you get to start Houston for sure against Vegas, where you don't want to start Cleveland against Buffalo. And then you get to start Cleveland against Pittsburgh, where you may not want to start Houston against the Chargers, though I still think you want to start Houston against the Chargers. So.
Yeah, Cleveland's just going to rack up sacks. I mean, Myles Garrett's going for that record. Shit, he could have it this week, honestly.
Could have it this week. No, great job there, Quincy. Congratulations on 14-0 and hopefully a championship. Let's run the whole table for you. That wraps up Wiretap, folks. Thank you for riding with us for this hour and a half show. We will finish this out this season. So up until championship week, you will see this show. So we will lead you into the week 17 matchups before this show goes off the air. So you got us for 4 more weeks. Good luck on your waiver claims. We'll see you next Tuesday at 11. But Club Fantasy will be live again tonight at 9 o'clock.
10 p.m.
10 o'clock. I'm sorry. Sam Holt, Derek Tate, sideline banter. Enjoy it. See you next week.